Hey, podcaster, I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can grow your podcast authority, generate leads, and convert with ease. Today's tip is get strategic to solve the podcast book conundrum. You've got big ideas to share. Should you write a book or start a podcast? Maybe both, but which comes first? This was an interesting question that came up on one of my recent free podcast coaching calls, which you can book with me. If I've never spoken to you before, book it. Book one with me through my website at podcastperformancecoach.com. The listener booked the call with me to explore starting a podcast, but she was torn because she knew she also wanted to write a book, and she couldn't figure out which should come first. It's the classic chicken or the egg question. Should she write a book to help build her podcast or start a podcast to secure a best-selling book launch? It was an interesting conversation about which would serve her better in establishing her as a thought leader and getting her more consulting clients. Maybe you're wondering the same thing. In this episode, I'm sharing the advice I gave her. Surprise! It wasn't a slam dunk. Podcast all the way! No, there are a lot of things to take into consideration. For example, number one, have you already clarified your message? Whether you're writing a book or starting a podcast, you need to know what your core message is so that your long-form content hangs together and so that it supports your business or bid to be the go-to person for your niche. A podcast can serve as a message refining tool. Your book, on the other hand, requires you to kind of have it nailed. Number two, do you already have an audience? A podcast is a powerful tool to build one before the book launches. A book is a powerful way to expand an existing audience. Number three, are you using this book to grow your business? If so, the timing, the structure of the book matter. A book and a podcast can open the door to new audiences and can be a powerful part of your funnel if you create it with that intention. The structure of a podcast can shift as you go and can be updated digitally. A published book is less flexible on this front. Okay, number four, do you have a publisher interested or a deadline? This is a clear sign to move forward with the book and follow up with the podcast. If you have time and capacity, the podcast can be done while the book is with the editor so that the podcast can support the book launch. If you don't have a publisher, guess what publishers love? A writer with a loyal and engaged audience, aka guaranteed book buyers. The fifth thing to think about when you're starting a book or a podcast is how much time and energy do you actually have? Books take deep focus. Podcasts build momentum faster, especially if visibility is the immediate priority. But make no mistake, they both take time and energy and likely a financial investment. So get real with your capacity on all fronts. And number six, do you want to test your idea in real time? Well, a podcast gives you instant feedback. Books don't. Lots to think about here, but let me encourage you not to overthink. The last thing I want for you is to keep all of that gold locked up in that big, beautiful brain while you're trying to figure out which path to take. Pick a path and go for it. I can tell you that I've seen success on both paths. I've had a client who came to me with their book published and already making waves. We were able to harness that and create a companion podcast that amplified the authority built by her book. And we've had clients who start with a podcast and then realize, holy crap, look at all of this great content. I've got a book in me after all. And I bet my listeners would love to buy my book. Yes, they actually use the podcast content to create the book content and to test ideas and even generate stories and frameworks for the book. So what happened to the woman who booked that coaching call and inspired this episode? Well, here's what I told her. I said the most powerful approach might be doing both strategically and in tandem. When you align your book and podcast intentionally, they can support each other. The podcast grows your audience and your content bank. The book builds authority and reach. Both can fuel your business if they're pulling in the same direction. In other words, when it comes to the chicken and the egg question, I'm reminded of one of my favorite brunch items at a diner in Vancouver called the conundrum. It's an omelet with diced chicken. Sometimes the answer is both and. It was easy advice to give because I know the power of the book podcast combo after watching several of my clients do it effectively. So here's your tip. If you're debating book versus podcast, zoom out. Get clear on what you want them to do for you. Is it thought leadership? Is it leads? Is it credibility? Is it audience growth? Then consider, how clear is your message? Do you already have an audience? Do you already have a publisher? And what is your capacity? Then pick the right path for you. Maybe both, maybe one, but make sure it's actually leading you to your business goals. And I hope that's just the tip you need. If you want help mapping out a podcast strategy that supports your book, your message, and your authority, well, let's talk. Book that free podcast coaching call at podcastperformancecoach.com, and we'll figure out your next best step. Just you and me, one-on-one, privately, talking about your podcast. Book your free podcast coaching call by using the link in the show notes or at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wahlberg. See ya!